What's your minimum specification? So one of the questions that I've been being asked recently is whether I'm going to fly to events. Now, I'm a member of the press, as many of you know. I'm senior editor for Anantech, and as part of my job, I get to travel the world. I get to see offices in really boring locations, usually in the Bay Area and Asia. Now, given the current global situation we've got, every single event that I've been invited to so far has been online or through meeting services like Zoom or Skype for Business. But now we're so far into this incident that companies are coming to me and saying, what will it take to make you fly? You know, just sort of in a curiosity way, not in a, we're going to put on an event straight away and we want to ensure that you might go. This is more sort of, under what circumstances would you be able to travel? Would you want to travel? How would you travel? What sort of events will you be comfortable with? And it got me thinking about exactly what it would take for somebody like me who flies anywhere from 150 to 200,000 miles on an average year. What would it take for me to actually go to the airport, to get on a plane, to go somewhere, even if, if I'm in the UK, even if that somewhere is as close as, say, Berlin, or as far away as the US or Taipei, what would it take for me to actually get ready to go on a plane again? And it's going to come down to a number of things, right? People have already suggested that, we need masks and gloves for all passengers. I mean, that's what everybody seems to be doing now. Some airlines have promised that they'll keep the middle seat free in economy, though we've seen pictures online where that's clearly not happening now. If airlines can sell a seat, it looks like they will sell a seat. So regardless of that, airlines are cleaning more, or they've committed to be cleaning more on their flights. It's also going to take airports to be more thorough with their cleaning. But I think from my perspective, I'm going to need to wait until things open up more. I mean, ideally I'd like a seat where the middle seat isn't taken, or going to events where there are less than 50 people in attendance, because you're going to have people coming from all over to these events. Even if it's just, say, a pre-briefing on a new CPU or a new platform, you end up with all these people together in hotels. I haven't even been in a hotel since this whole thing started. What's it actually going to take? Now, if I have a look at one of my compatriots, Patrick Moorhead, you may know him from Moorhead Insights. This is him. This is one of the last flights he did before this whole pandemic happened. And here he is, with a full N95 face mask and some gloves. The seat next to him was empty, but the seat beyond that was taken. This is probably going to be what it's going to be like for the first while. We're going to get into a situation where people won't fly, or people will only want to fly if they can do that, if they're able to do that. Now, back when the pandemic first started, the main event on the horizon was Mobile World Congress, which is a big gathering of 70,000 odd people in Barcelona, press, tradesmen, all going about their business, and that was essentially pretty much cancelled. Some companies still went, and some press still went because they had flights booked, non-refundable flights and non-refundable hotel stays. So they went and they met some of the companies that they usually deal with. From our side of the fence, we didn't go. I'm not sure if the company managed to get their flights refunded or the hotel refunded. And then very quickly, my main publisher said, no flights to any events for any reason because of the pandemic, which was the right thing to do. We've recently had a situation where the German event IFA, which is typically held at the end of August, this is more of a consumer type show. press are usually, you know, secondary to everything that happens in the consumer world for that show. But they've said that they will be holding, you know, 4 events, 4 press on location for 800 press on an invite-only basis. Now, I know some people who have already got their invites, because they're obviously going down the list of what's the most important press, you know, the big tabloids, the big media, then going down. And some of them have been invited, you know, and they've posted their invites on Twitter and said, absolutely not. Even end of August is too soon for me. So it got me to thinking, well, what's going to be right for me? And I'm looking at my timeline of what sort of events coming through. Now, we already know that this week would be Computex, and I'm clearly not in Taipei. So after that, we would typically have Hot Chips, which is an August event, mid-August. That's held in Stanford. That's going to be online only, and I don't, you know, maybe some local people might end up going to that, depending on if they do something more local. But I probably definitely won't be going. IFA, I'm definitely not going to that. That just sounds like it's going to be terrible. After that on my list, the main event I go to, you know, aside from all the side briefings, would be Supercomputing, and this year I believe it's in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Supercomputing is in mid-November, and if things work out the way it should with regards to the pandemic, with regards to airlines taking extra steps, with regards to the event taking steps, because it's kind of one of those smaller events. I mean, you typically get 100 press most, and out of all the attendees, most of them are trade. You know, it's like a 3-4 day event. One of the issues they're going to have is that Supercomputing is all about the tutorials and the presentations. They will have tracks for that sort of thing for the students and the engineers that go. They're going to have to obviously distance everybody's chairs from each other, and offer facilities to wipe down the chairs between talks. Now, given that sometimes those talks were in rooms where there would be not enough chairs and people would be standing, that's probably going to be a main issue that's going to happen with that event. But if everything goes well, I could see myself perhaps going to that event. And beyond that, we have Qualcomm usually does its annual tech summit beginning of December. I have a feeling that'll be a reduced scenario as well. And then beyond that is CES in Vegas with, you know, 200,000 people or 160,000 people. That is probably going to be terrible. Now, with these big events, with the CES, with Computex, with IFA, there's usually that joke of, well, half the people come back with the CES flu, with the Computex flu. Especially those who are going for the first time, because they've got no immunity to going to these events. Now, the first event that everybody goes to, a big event, not only is it going to be a case of, well, everybody's immune system isn't used to everybody coming together for such a long time, but mixed with the pandemic, there's going to be a mix of, well, who might have it, who might not, and who's going to get ill from it. So you can bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be no shaking of hands at these events. Probably not through most of 2021, if I'd imagine, assuming everything opens up again. And there will be hand sanitizer at every meeting. Even food is going to be a bit weird of how food's going to go down. I expect everything's going to have to be pre-packaged and stuff like that. So realistically, on my schedule, the next big press sort of industry event I might consider going to at the minute is Supercomputing in November. If you're a member of the press, you tell me what would be the next event on your radar. And also, what's your minimum specification?